So with that said, I'll get going here. Let me see. Get this. I believe it's this one here. Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, and while you're getting that set up, Aaron, just want to let everybody know, Aaron and I have worked together for almost 10 years, and we're both doing our own thing. I started Conecta, the only bilingual CRM. It has everything for marketing and operations. Um, and you want to say a little bit about your company, Aaron?
Yeah. So we basically started out by doing just compliance, and now I am I'm doing cybersecurity management and consulting for specifically for accountants and tax pros. And so it's the compliance, the actual security management to make the compliance relevant, and then support and ongoing management. And we provide all the documents and do the support in both English and Spanish. So, all right. So I think we got the screen shared, right? That come up okay?
Yeah.
All right. All right. So I'll just go real quick with what we'll cover. Just going to cover what it is, why we have the WISP, implementing it, and then going over the what that means to implement, like the risk assessment and how you can stay compliant, and what actions you can take starting from today. And it won't take too much. So I want to make sure that everyone walks away not being overwhelmed, but just confident that they can be not only compliant, but just safe and protecting your client's data. All right, so what is the WIS, right? It stands for Written Information Security Plan, and it is pretty much a full-blown buzzword at this point. But the what it actually is a document that you write or get a, a pre-filled template, which actually the IRS offers for free. It's fairly blank, so you have to kind of fill your name and make it relevant to your company, and that's where it gets difficult because it's a very technical document, and so it feels overwhelming if you don't understand uh, the IT jargon. So it's basically it's a very long, dense document that explains what your policy particular to your office, because all offices are a little different. um, all services are a little different, right? Some do more financial advising, some are multi-services, some just do tax preparation. So it has to be, and everyone operates their business differently. They store files in different places. Um, they access the data differently. They use email in a certain way. So what it is like, this is the policy that you formally sign that declares this is how we do cybersecurity, right? And at any point, you could be asked to present this to an IRS official, or more and more, sometimes clients ask, "Hey, are you protecting my data?" Like whatever. They may not know about the WISP, like the terminology, but they might even ask for it. So it's something where you can say, "Yes, this is my internal policy for cyber security." Um, it defines the roles. So if you have multiple staff, partners, employees, it defines who is responsible for the WISP and who has access to particular data. Because honestly, what the IRS wants to see is they want to make sure that certain data is not accessible by other people. So, um, and obviously it's required by the IRS and the FTC safeguard rule, which came out 2 or 3 years ago. Um, so yeah, does I guess just if you're in the chat, type a Y if you have some kind of thing that's a full blown WISP that you purchased, that you downloaded, that you basically, use, or N if this is the first time you're seeing this or you've never actually gotten a WISP before. So just throw in the chat. I'd just like to see if anyone like even has like if this is new for everybody or if anyone has actually um, tried to implement a WISP before.
Yeah, well, we have Jennifer Hoyt saying no WISP.
Right. The,
Uh, it came with my tax software. Oh, that's interesting. I haven't heard of that.
right. Rosa, what tax software was that? We're curious to see because that is true. Some do provide a WISP, but
My tax
it's
prep office. Thank
okay. So if and also if you can go you can Google IRS WISP publication, and there's a free PDF template that you can download, and I mean it's technically a policy, and so I'm going to go into why it's a good start, but I think that the IRS does a little disservice, and other people who sell WISPs do a little disservice on that doesn't actually make you protected, right? It's obviously a formal thing you have to do, but we want to go into why have to sort of take a little bit more of control on that.
Uh,
My,
we
my
have
my
a few
wisp is kind of
more comments here. Mari, no, I don't have any form of the WISP. And Julieta, my WISP is kind of messy. So,
yeah. I
thanks for
like that.
being honest, everybody.
My wisp is kind of messy. I like that. Well, and sometimes now people have been putting in the wisp, and maybe they get old because part of the requirements is that you update it yearly. So why? So this is the most important thing I want everyone to walk away with is why. And so this is one of the most misunderstood issues with the relationship between cybersecurity, the IRS, and the people who are actually filing taxes and the taxpayers. So compliance is mandatory. Obviously, that's why we're all here. And um, they're very clear about the issues of not having a WISP. So um, if if you if you do not have any kind of security plan documented, and you have an incident like you get hacked or your data stolen, that's the first thing that's gonna happen is they're gonna come to you and be like, well, where's your policies and procedures, And if you don't have anything, that's definitely not good. And there could be issues, you can lose your PTIN, you can possibly get a fine. But what's worse is if you have a WISP and they come in and go, oh, you have a WISP, and then they go, okay, so where's your password management? Where's your backup policy? Where's your endpoint protection? Where's your access control, to your data, all this kind of stuff, all these technical, like, where's this, where's that? And that none of that's been followed. They're like, well, I downloaded this WISP or I bought it for $500 and then I signed it and then I, moved on with my life. Well, that is actually worse because to the IRS, to the government, and that's with any regulation, with HIPAA, with federal, with FINRA and SEC, with any government regulation. If you have a policy and you don't follow it, you're now considered negligent, meaning you know the law, you've implemented a policy and you chose to actually not follow it, and that is so much worse because then that can be seen as some kind of like sub like it's like a subordinate behavior. So that is one thing I wanted to make sure everyone understands. Like it might seem a little difficult at first, but really the hard part's in the beginning, but then it's just maintenance beyond that. And that's understanding what's in your WISP and making sure it's customized to your business and that you're actually doing what it says. Because if you have one and you don't do what it says, you are in a much worse position legally, because that's when they throw the book at you. That's when they will. The average penalty is somewhere between 50 and $100,000 for something at that level. You lose your e-file abilities, and you possibly can get hit with audits for 10 years. So they're going to come and audit your company for 10 years. Larger companies get 20 years, which is crazy. But so for a small business, that's pretty impactful. So and then of course there's the reputation. So the way that now they're not coming door to door and knocking on your office, being like, show me your WISP, show me your cybersecurity. How normally things happen is one of your taxpayers gets some sort of tax fraud or identity fraud or some flag comes up on on them, and if it is involving their tax return or the IRS, they're going to see your PTIN and they're going to see the e-filed under your EFIN, and they're going to come to your office and be like, we think you might have been a victim of an attack, especially if there's been multiple taxpayers from your numbers. So that's usually how it is. They usually something happens, and a lot of times it's not you. Their information got hacked somewhere else, but your number is attached to their file, their last filing or whatever. So they're going to then go and they're going to say, okay, we need to do an audit. Do you have a WISP? Where is, are you following it? And if you are missing in these places, that's when they're going to go, okay, well, you might be the reason why this hack happened. Or if they can prove that it is, then you have to actually report to all your clients that their information was stolen. So you got to buy them identity theft protection for a year, and then you got to let them know. So now, if you find out you've been hacked, I'm getting ahead of myself, but if you find out you've been hacked and you let the IRS know first before they find out, and you let and you report it to the state and the IRS, then that's a thumbs up. They like that. They say, you know what, it happens, but you let us know first. Now we can protect their file and we can look out for any tax fraud or identity fraud. Right? Does that make sense? So if you self-report, if something happens, because things happen, and you self-report first, that's better. If they find out first and they come and tell you, and they find that your stuff is all messed up, then it's up to the auditor, right, on how they want to adjudicate it. It depends on how negligent they feel you are, but it's out of your control at that point. So um, now the other reason, so that's kind of like that's how offices get in trouble. The reason why the WISP exists is that there's hundreds of millions of tax files out there, taxpayers. You got hundreds of thousands of just so you got hundreds of millions of taxpayers, hundreds of thousands of EAs, CPAs, tax offices who are filing. How can the IRS protect taxpayers? Like, how can they protect themselves, and how can they protect taxpayers and citizens in general? They can't, right? So they deputize the tax office. They say, okay, you're handling this data. You're basically this treasure trove. You're this vault of information. Think about it, like people texting you and emailing you their W-2s and bank statements and QuickBooks files and all that stuff it's in your systems, right? If I get access to your systems or even just your email, I can steal thousands of people's information, right? And you might not even know. So the IRS, the reason why the WISP exists is because they need you as like a guardian of this information to actually protect it. It's the only way. They say you got to have good cybersecurity. You got to like monitor your access. You have to like lock down your information. You can't like you have to like be take it serious, you know. And that's why it exists, and that's why they're becoming a little bit more. And this is normal with government information regulation. They typically release a statute, and then they say do this or else, and then eventually they start to actually take action. And so there's been in the last couple of years many, especially the larger companies, who've been hit with multi-million-dollar fines. So because this $100,000 thing involves a single office, but if you're a large company that has, you know, millions of records, it's different. They get hit with much bigger fines. Um, and so beyond that, also, for you as a business owner, you also want to protect your reputation, and you want to be able to, Um, it's not a great day where you have to call all your clients or email all your clients and be like, "Hey, your information might have been stolen, and I have to buy you identity protection." So, um, if there's any questions on that, you can jump in on that. But I hope that makes it clear on why it's there and like why the IRS has it and how they're enforcing it. And it's unfortunately it's not in your control because you could have a client who, their email gets hacked, their information gets stolen, and then they come to your office because they might think they being the government, might think that you're the reason why that happened. All right, so now I hope everyone's kind of on high alert, like, okay, I need to do something. So um, implementation is more than just getting it from your tax software. I mean, that is a start. You can download it for free. You can, pay someone to make you one, stuff like that. What's important is that you actually do what it says. And this is where you got to take a little bit extra step to understand. Not that you have to read the whole thing and memorize it, because it's the most boring document you'll ever read. But you have to like basically tease out what you can do today as a small business owner to actually do something about it, right? And a few of those things are you have to kind of just take uh, if you have a few employees, you just want to make it a part of your culture. Like, hey, we have important data, we're protecting it. You say, okay, yeah, I'm the owner, I'm the security officer, right? It's my responsibility. Or maybe you have a partner or another employee who's more kind of they're just better with IT terms. That okay, now you're the officer, you're the one responsible for doing this. You then have to uh, you have to have it. You have to sign the WISP. You need to have everyone who works for you, including contractors, sign that they acknowledge the responsibility. And then you have to do a risk assessment. And I'll go into that in a minute. But a risk assessment is the declaration to yourself that you understand your risks based on how you work. And everyone's risks are a little bit different. Some people have paid for a very amazing, practice management software. I'll throw out Conecta helps solve this issue, holding client files in a secure storage rather than in your email, as an example. And sometimes, the tax software you use might have a client portal, stuff like that, right? So you you basically have that you identify what your risks are, and you say, okay, well, I take documents by email, and I have an archive room with a bunch of paper files, because remember all this deals with all data, paper and digital. And I travel with my laptop, right? And it's not like you have to be a perfect person, but you have to identify the risks. So you say, okay, I travel with my laptop. My laptop is a risk because if I lose it or it gets stolen, what happens there, right? That can be really bad. So if the wrong people steal it, they can sell the hard drive on the internet for lots of money. That's typically like the worst case scenario there. The um, the email I have is not secure, so if my email gets hacked, that's a lot of data. I don't have multi-factor authentication. The one-time code where you get a text message and you put the code in, and now you can log in, right? I think pretty much everything requires multi-factor authentication, or MFA. That that is your risk assessment, and everyone has to do it. It's the first step in having a WISP. Almost no, and I'll throw it out there now, and I'll keep talking, but throw it in the chat. Do you know what a risk assessment is? Have you done a risk assessment? Does that make sense? Like, have you ever looked at what it's not necessarily comfortable to do, but have you looked at like where are your risks when it comes to cybersecurity? How could maybe someone get unauthorized access to your data? Um, and that's usually through email, your file storage, your equipment, and also things like ex-employees. If your kids come to the office and they play games on your computer, could they download something malicious? These are all risks that you have to document. And it doesn't mean you have to be like, you have to fix everything tomorrow. Just by documenting, you've now done more than what 80% of your peers have done, which is like just document your risks. That's actually a sign that you're taking action. And then what you do is you create a work plan, and the work plan says, okay, I can't do everything now, but in the next 6 months, I can do one, two, and three. And you start with the easiest low-hanging fruit. You implement MFA. You put better passwords on. You put passwords on. You make sure clients give you their sensitive information over a more secure channel, not email, right? They can fax it. They can copy it in the office. They can upload it to a client portal. Don't want to use email because email is extremely unsafe to keep all your like sensitive client documents. Some people use WhatsApp. WhatsApp is encrypted. You just want to make sure your WhatsApp is protected, so it's better. It's better than email. Um, and then you have to and then I skipped a step here. Has anyone in the chat, has anyone ever done cybersecurity awareness training, either at a job somewhere else or because someone offered it to you or anything? Has anyone ever taken or say no? I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, so not okay. So we've had a couple people. Excellent. So this is just like sexual harassment training is required for almost all businesses. OSHA training, right? Things like this. This is a job hazard is handling data. So what's part of the WISP is that you are required to train your people cybersecurity awareness training at least once a year. Um, most trainings are updated yearly. Some even do where they kind of spoon feed it over like a couple weeks or a month at a time. So that way it's like you don't do it and forget it. I like both things. I like doing a big course to just, update, and then maybe every couple weeks or every week or every month you get like a little reminder. Hey, when you travel, do this. When just like little tips. And then the major themes like business email compromise scams and not locking your computer when you walk away and stuff like that. Okay, so Sherry got one about phishing. Phishing is like the primary way people get compromised. So okay, and then so that's a big one. Train the staff, and then you have to review your work plan, and do another risk assessment, and then update your WISP. And that's the maintenance part. So once you have the big, nasty document, then you just update it because threats change, you change. Maybe you open another office, maybe you use different software, and you're going to like update your WISP to match that. So once you do this, if you've done the training, if you've identified your risks, you've documented that you've taken some action, like you implemented some better security, maybe you hired a cybersecurity company to manage things, maybe you implemented backup, and then if I'm an auditor and I come in and I go, even if you got hacked, right? And I come in and I go, well, you have good passwords, you have a WISP, you did a risk assessment, you trained your people, you've implemented these things, you've documented this. It doesn't matter how bad the incident was, you're not held responsible. They're like, you know what? No one can protect against a strong enough attack. And there's something in the industry called 0 day, and that's when no one knows about the vulnerability, right? Somebody gets into your system with an unknown 0 day like vulnerability. So like what can anyone do to protect against that? So that's like obviously, but those happen, right? And so that's why you're never 100% protected, but you can be 100% compliant if you are doing these things, and you're not going to be held responsible. Now you're on the same side as the IRS. All right, well, let's lock things down. Let everyone know. And you're not going to have any, it's not great to have an incident, but you're definitely going to be much better off if you have these things in place. All right, so I guess I kind of did cover this a little bit, but the purpose of the risk assessment is to obviously identify threats from things like a human error, files open everywhere. People can accidentally delete things or take data or download data, ransomware. If people don't know what ransomware is, it's been around for a while, but I still find a lot of people don't quite understand what it is. But basically, it's an attack. Most attacks on businesses are financial based. So, can I steal your data and sell it? Can I have you transfer this wire to an account that's not yours, right? That's a wrong account. Now I stole your wire. Well, ransomware is a version of that where I through a virus, I lock up all your data off your server, off your email, whatever. I lock up all your data, and you can't get access to it until you pay me like $5,000 in Bitcoin. That's the most common thing that happens, and you have to pay them that money. And they even have customer support numbers. It's like a whole business, and they say, okay, pay us $5,000, and we'll release all of your data. You can now, and if that's the only copy of your data, you kind of have to do it, which is a very crappy position to be in. So, if you have backups, you go, you know what? Screw you. I have backups, right? People get angry when they get ransomware because it's a very, they're like dealing with the hacker like one on one. And it's good that you have backups. Now you can say, okay, you wipe the computer, you restore your backups. However, what they might come back and say, the hackers, they might say, okay, but we actually downloaded your data and we're going to post it on the dark web. We're going to post it on illegal marketplace sites if you don't pay us $5,000. So they can still hold your data for ransom from publishing it online. And that's dirty, dirty business. But that's why you want to avoid ransomware even if you have backup. Um, Another big one is access control with risk assessment, right? If everyone has everyone's password and everyone's an admin to everything, that's a project. You want to gradually lock up your things. That is just all it takes is for an ex-employee who's not there anymore,'s account to get compromised, and now that you didn't even know was still active, and then that person can now like steal your data, can get access to your system. So you want good access control. Like if you have remote people, if you have people come and go from the office, if you have people take laptops, if you have everything in the cloud, right? People think, oh, everything's in the cloud. I don't have to worry about it. That's like, it's actually safer to have data inside your office with actual walls and like a key. Because if you have everything in the cloud, all I have to do is steal your password. I get access to all your data. I can be in anywhere. I can be in Germany. I can be in South Africa. I can be in Russia. So I can access your data from anywhere if I just have your password. So cloud is, if you have your tax software, your client portal, your practice management, if you have your data in the cloud, you have to make sure your access control is tight because people can get access to your account and you won't even know it. Um, so that's what the risk assessment is looking at doing, is just like identifying what those vulnerabilities are. All right, so where to go from here? Now, I hope at this point you understand what the WISP is, why it's even there, why it relates to everyone on this call, and also what are the first couple steps, which is like understand it, do a risk assessment, train your people. That's something you can do right now. And then where you go from here, it's mostly maintenance, but as you grow or change, you have to just, when you think about, well, I have to order a new phone. I have to like order internet for this new office. Right? I have to rearrange the office. I need a new printer. When you think about changes in the company, consider cybersecurity as part of that checklist, right? I have to make a new account. I have to lock down the new account. I have to make sure this person only has access to the data they're allowed to have access to, right? They don't have admin. Like if you have a remote bookkeeper who's in a different country, there's a lot of offices now use offshore or nearshore work. You want to make sure that that person only has access to what they are allowed, not your whole system. Um, and so that what that does is that combines your policy that you now have implemented, the WISP, the training, and the actual cyber technology to actually implement those things, right? And I can go more into kind of where you can take those steps with the technology. Um, you are this part is kind of tricky. You are required, although I don't think the government expects 100% engagement, but you are required to test and monitor your security, your backups, look at your logs, test your vendors. Um, I think start with your office first. I mentioned that, but I think that's more advanced. If you have more staff, if it makes sense, then you want to actually have somebody who every month like tests your stuff, right? To kind of make sure all the check boxes are checked, that you've locked out old employees and that your backups are working and stuff like that. Um, and then from there, you keep that documentation up to date so that at any point if someone asks for it, boom, you just provide it. And when you're engaging in this operation, bringing it back to where I started, I want to make sure that if you're at an event, if you're talking to a client, if you are with a colleague or even worst case, you have someone, an official in your office, and they say, "Are you compliant?" You can say, "Yes, I am, because of reason A, B, and C, because I did these one, two, three things. That's why I'm compliant." And that gives you the confidence to know that this isn't overwhelming. This is the technology behind it is technical for sure, just like anything. I use the analogy of a car. Like some people know that like the valves let in the gas to an engine and then it fires with the pistons and then it turns the crankshaft, which then goes to the differential and the wheels turn and then your car goes, right? Well, for a lot of people, that's like, okay, I don't care. I press gas and we go. So that's the thing is like I think where some people get tripped up with this is that they're expected to like understand like how like all of IT works. And I think what you need to understand is that you're trying to solve a couple problems. One, you have sensitive data, and two, you're required to protect it, and three, you have to like prove to yourself and to an outside person that you've actually done those things. That's the main problem we're talking about here. You have sensitive data. You have multiple people accessing it. So it's just like getting control of that. That's the main problem. All the other details, you can consult professionals. Hey, I need someone to, you have maybe 10 or 20 employees. You probably need to have some sort of like IT or cybersecurity partner who's like doing this stuff, right? If you got one or two, you really don't need much. You just kind of gotta like just lock things down. I think you can kind of take care of it on a much more simple basis. So, I think that's everything I have about that. So, by being on this call today, what I'm offering is uh, you can scan this here, and I'll let me post a link in the chat too, in case you don't want to scan. Um, so I'll put a link in the chat as well. So go here. You can reserve a time. I have up until next Tuesday available. If you need something later than that, after the Christmas break, you can just email me and we can set something up. But this doesn't take, it takes like 15 minutes. And to the little form you fill out about your practice and then 15-minute call with me. And so I'll give you a free WISP. So it's the full, kit and caboodle. At Because the form you fill out to make the appointment gives me the information I need to give you a risk assessment with a work plan. So kind of your top three to five things you should work on. And then, and this is only for people on this call that I'm offering, is that a security awareness training for your entire staff. This is all free. You just book this call, and then I'll have to bring you onto the system for the cybersecurity awareness training. But I'll give you the top two things on that call that we book. So you're at least going to take much bigger steps than a lot of your peers have taken to not only like understand it, but like take those first couple actions to be compliant.
And Aaron, you said that you speak Spanish too?
Sí, hablo español.
Yeah. Um, for
Not
those,
not today because I didn't really practice this in Spanish, but yeah, I do.
yeah, Aaron tiene una casa en Colombia.
Right. Yo vivo
Um,
en Colombia.
Aaron, so when somebody books a call with you, what could they expect for the first 15 minutes or for the 15-minute phone call? And like, what should they get ready? Should they have their
Sure.
softwares ready?
Well, so the form you fill out when you book the appointment, it's going to ask you about 20 questions. It's just stuff like who does your email, what's your tax software, how do you collect your clients, you know, documents. And so with that, I'm gonna the WISP is just a document that I'm gonna put your name on and fill out some, kind of make it customized, and then I'll just send it to you. The risk assessment is what we'll spend talking about. So I'm going to go over where your risks are so you understand how it relates to the law and your WISP and where the gaps are. And then I'm going to give you like, here's your three things you should focus on for 2026, because now that's going to bring you that whole sort of journey. That's what, and I'm going to make that as easy. The low hanging fruit is always where we focus on. And then, um, if you if you're like, you know what, I need more help, I need someone to actually like manage my IT systems, then you can set up. We could set up another look at doing I could do a call with you to look at what that looks like if you're interested. But that is not required, obviously.
Does anybody have any questions, comments? ¿Tienen preguntas, comentarios? Both on Zoom and on Facebook, we have a few people watching.
Hey, Aaron, I got a quick question.
Yeah.
So, do you only do compliance for tax pros? Anything on the insurance side?
Well, oh yeah, no, I do. Yeah, I do all professional services. I do lawyers too. Um, but I've been mostly focused on tax pros this year. But yeah, we do all insurance offices. They have a lot of the same requirements.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
We have a question here. If you're going to need to log into their server, I guess this person has a server.
hmm what's the question? If I need to log into
Uh,
their server?
yeah, during that assessment.
Not yet. No, 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 no. I just need to know, do you have a server and where it is? That's it. And what's on it. That's all in the form. So, but if they want to then, bring us on to manage their server, then obviously we'll have to take a peek at it. It's not really too complicated unless they have many servers. If they have many servers, we probably need to call someone and, connect into them. But and some people, they have a hosted server on like RightWorks or something like that. So they might have a server, but it's remote. That's a little bit different.
Um,
Um,
so, so this is what they fill out. Their email provider, how many users, what tax software, how do you receive taxpayer documents? And that's a good question there, Aaron. Because after talking to Conecta users and like doing demos with people, a lot of people send, a lot of clients, taxpayers send their tax documents in an email.
mhm.
Um, so what could a tax pro do in that case? Because it's not them, it's their clients doing it.
Right. So that's a great question. This comes up with almost every meeting I have because everyone takes tax documents by email. And sometimes they tell clients, don't do this. They know better, right? They're like, don't do this. Send it by um, any other way, right? Do a client portal, text me, fax, WhatsApp, right? These are all safer. These are all safer, right? But if you sometimes clients are stubborn it's just the only way they know. So what I tell people, I was like, well, it's hard to go back and change the past, but if tomorrow someone emails you their W-2 and their private information, download it to your secure storage, which is on your computer or it's in Dropbox or wherever. Download the file, delete the email. Download the file, delete the email. Just do that right there. Have that in your policy and train all your people to do that. So that way your email is not this like database of sensitive data.
Um, do you have remote staff? If you have remote staff outside of the US, do they need different like requirements? Do they need different policies? Like, does it change things up a lot?
It doesn't change what's required, but it does, you do have to account for their access. So, um, if they're accessing your direct database information and client files from their computer, I would say that's pretty much always falls outside of what's compliant. You just can't control, right? You just can't like control the access there. So um, it's best to actually have a computer in your office, or you can have a cloud virtual desktop, which is pricier, but you could just have a computer in your office, make them remote into your computer there, and now you make it so that they can only do work on that computer in their office, right? It's a little clunky, but you can like buy a computer from wherever tomorrow and do it. Some people are. I have a client who does that. She has her remote Philippines people. They log into her computers in her office. She can watch them work, right? So she kind of watches them work, making sure they're doing the right thing. And they cannot log into those systems unless they're on that computer. They're physically unable because those systems are locked down, right? They don't allow outside the US connections.
Um, any more questions, comments for Aaron? Let me check over here. Um, mm,
There was something else I did want to cover real quick about tax software. So, um, and this is something that affects almost any tax software that's on premises, right? Which is most of what people use. Crosslink, Drake, TaxWise, those are kind of the big ones. I know there's a host of others. All the most of the Intuit ones, right? So uh, they are built to like install on your computer, and then your data is on the same computer, and then you're doing your work and you're building your client list, and all of their information is in there. And then you hire somebody, or you hire 5 people, or you hire 10 people, and they all connect to your computer to work on the same database. Now it's fine when it's just you because the data you don't have to like it's on your disk, it's on your hard drive. But when you allow all these other people to connect, you have to like unfortunately it's the way these softwares have been built, but you have to open up your drive on the network and it's extremely unsafe. It's like you can even have the strongest antivirus, like computer security, but you open up that drive, you just it's like a back door, like you just wide open, like no rules. And so I just want to mention to people who have multiple people accessing their tax software, like if they have a Drake or Crossing or something on in their office, that you do need to have a professional look at that and find a way to lock that down. It's somewhat technical, but they really have not come up with a great solution. They built all these programs in the mid 2000s and they never made them safer, right? They're built for like working great on one computer for security wise. And then they're like, well, in order to connect another computer, we have to like open the back door to the computer that's completely wide open. It's the only way it's built to do. So just something like that. If you have that kind of situation, definitely make sure that you understand that it's as locked down as possible. Um, and because someone could basically what that means is someone could compromise a computer in your office, so you don't even know, right? Someone who's just downloaded something, and then they can basically see your computer that has your tax software database and just take it. Either do ransomware or they just take it, and you don't even know.
Aaron, so the WISP is going to involve whatever tax software they have, plus their computers and any other softwares that deal with client data.
Right. So
Um,
that's like storage, tax software, sometimes practice management.
mhm. Um, and I know we were talking a lot about sending documents back and forth securely. So I just want to show everybody really quick aquí in Conecta. So when you send documents through here, it follows all of those different guidelines that the IRS wants. Um, they're stored securely when they're stored in the database. They're hashed, so they're encrypted. You can't see them. And any of these different clients, like these are all examples, but like David will never be able to see Michael's documents, just the way the security has been set up. And right now I know a lot of people are looking for different CRMs and client portals. So this is something that you want to ask those questions when you're on those sales calls, on those demos. Like what kind of security are you using? A lot of them are going to say they're using bank level security, but that's different than what the IRS requires. Um, and I don't want to get into it really quick, but the IRS requires something called NIST, NIST. So that's what you want the software person to say, oh, yeah, we follow the NIST IAL2 requirements and not say that banking security. So just some things to keep in mind when you're looking at softwares. Um, and Aaron, what about like texting softwares, maybe like softwares that don't really have that client data, but they're still interacting with clients. Like if they just have their name and phone number, an email, but nothing else.
Oh, like a CRM
Yeah,
or
like a
texting.
basic CRM, like just you're not gonna have any documents in there, you're not having any socials, you just use it
Yeah.
to organize your clients.
Well, and the thing is, like, at that point, there's no really like official regulation that's required. That's obviously it's when you have personally identifiable information or PII. That's where all the regulations kick in. But it's just good business practice to protect access to those systems because it's still people's name, phone number, and email and address, right? So that can be, that information. If you have a lot of it, people can use that information to spam clients or whatever, and you don't want to dox all your clients. So yeah, it's still important. That's more of that. It's just a good business stewardship thing is to really have good access, good protection on accessing those databases.
Mhm. Um, okay, there's another question here saying,
Mhm.
how long after the 15-minute call with you will I receive my WISP?
On the call,
Oh, okay. So on that same call, they'll
on the
receive.
same call, you'll get a copy of the risk assessment and with all your information on it. So that way, it's like your risk assessment. You get to like that's yours to to have to that's your like official document for that, and then you'll have the actual the full WISP at the same time.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I'll just email those to you. I'll just email to you. But what the purpose of the call is that I explain uh, the risk assessment, like why it's set up the way it is, whatever your top vulnerabilities are, why it's important to take action, and then to give you like, here's what you can do. Here's some. You can ask questions. Hey, what can I do to take care of these one, two, three items? I'm like, well, call this person, do this, train these people, whatever the top issues are.
Mhm. Um, all right. Any other questions, comments for Aaron and myself about the WISP, about the call? We'll give everybody just a few more minutes. You can either put it on the chat or if you're watching on Facebook or unmute yourself. Um, and Aaron, so what about if people registered but they're not filling out the form, are you going to reach out to them or are they just kind of out of luck since they didn't fill out the form?
Um, no, I'll follow up if it's cool. I'll follow up with everyone just to remind. I mean, one thing I can send the deck if people want that, right? I can say like, here's the information in case maybe you're multitasking. You got the recording, and I'll follow up again with like, here's the link to book a call, and yeah, just go from there. But you don't. The thing is like if we're communicating, if you're registered and all that kind of stuff, you get to get that free cybersecurity awareness training. And just so some of you might know because you've either interacted, but the WISP, the risk assessment, and the security awareness training, those are typically most places will charge you $500 to $1,000 to do that, right? So, um, this is something you can basically get that doesn't, it's not going to cost you that. And so there's a lot of that you can do. You can actually take a lot of action with that, including if you have an IT company. Like if you have someone you have for IT, give it to them. Be like, here, do this, please. A lot of times IT people are there to fix computers, and they're there to like do compliance, right? They're kind of different. They're like different fields.
Um,
Oh yeah, this is
okay.
5708, right? So this is the actual template, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken. Right?
yeah,
Yeah,
from the IRS. Yeah, it's
yeah.
29 pages, and it's you know, it's a good template. It's a good starting point, but
Hmm.
you know, if you have somebody like Aaron that knows his stuff and is willing to do it for free,
Yeah.
take advantage of it. Um, what if um they already renewed their P10? Should they still worry about this?
Well, yeah, more than not, because there is a question on the P10 that everyone has to check that says, and it used to be just like one little line. Now it's a whole page. It says, I declare that I have a security plan and then I've done this, this, and that. I'm taking the cybersecurity steps to protect data. And it's a whole declaration. And in order to renew your P10 or to sign up for your new one, you have to. So everyone is on the hook. Everyone is under penalty of perjury has said that they have a WISP. Everyone here, everyone who has a P10, for all 700,000 people who have one, right? They've all said I have this WISP, and 95% of them don't. So that's where, and the IRS knows that, and they don't do a great job on like getting. I think it's overwhelming. Like try to read this document.
Yeah.
It's incredibly dense. So it's like this is where people go. You know what? This is too crazy. This is too confusing. I'm busy, and that's understandable. But we try to make it very kind of like we want to make this like digestible.
I have to go, guys. Thank you for such a good class. Have another payment. Yeah, thanks for coming, Enrique. And then Rosa, estoy llenando para la cita, pero dice que los espacios están llenos. So that your calendar's full, Aaron.
Uh, Go back there. Shouldn't
Maybe.
be. Yeah, it's
Um,
now.
well,
I go on vacation next Wednesday, so that's why it's only available till next Tuesday.
yeah.
that
And
is the thing.
well, we're gonna send everybody the recording and the slides. So if there's not a time that works for you, you could reply
Well,
to the email.
right. So the week after, and so on this link, it only opens up like 5 days in the future. So if you need something in the future, just shoot me an email. It should be in the chat there, but I can put it back. I can put a new one here. Um, and we can set something up the week after Christmas, and between Christmas and New Year's, I'll have some time. So I'll have some time in those days as well, and right after the New Year as well. So you probably still have a few weeks before the end of January before things get real crazy. That this won't be. This really doesn't take much time on your end. Really, and in total, I need probably like if you're gonna even if you're gonna hire me to manage your stuff, I probably need you for like 2 hours max. So there isn't much time. You don't have to be that involved. You just have to bring me in amount that much time, and then but with just this free offer, you only need like maybe half hour at the most. 15 minutes to a half hour. So we're trying to make it to where you're not having to dedicate too much time. So.
And then I want to share this with everybody real quick. We are talking about different softwares, and if they have PII and client information, you need to make sure que they're in your WISP. So, if you currently have 3, 4, 5, 6 different softwares for your office, just want to let everybody know que Conecta replaces all of these different softwares here. So I'm not gonna go through them all, but like all the different signature ones, Monday.com, Keep, Google Voice, SmartVault, TaxDome, Calendly. Entonces, if you are juggling and having a lot of different softwares that you're using, and it gets confusing. Conecta could replace all of that, and you could just have one place where you log in, one price, and you don't have to worry about all of this. Um, and it's super simple to use. If you want to send an e-signature, you click on your client, the e-signature, and you upload the PDF. And e-signatures are free. So I know a lot of different softwares you have to pay from like $1 to $4. The e-signatures like in Conecta, they're free. Yeah, like there's a one that I did before. And as the client portal, the signatures, like anything that you could probably think of for your office, it has it. And if it doesn't have it and we get a lot of requests for it, then we can make it happen. Porque we built this from the ground up. So it's not it's not a white label. We're not using somebody else's software. Like we built this. So if there's a feature or there's something that you really want for your office and it makes sense, we're open to hearing and making it happen. Como Enrique that just left, he's the one that created this page. He wanted a page to keep track of all of his different businesses.
Huh.
This is an example, but these are all different businesses that are your clients, and you have, what type of business they are, their EIN, date established, just sending documents to the business. Later we're gonna have QuickBooks integrated, but this came from a user. So we were talking. He really wanted something to organize his businesses, and it was a good idea, and we made it happen. And then right now, uh, Conecta we have this offer, and oh yeah, hey Aaron, I didn't tell you, but I'm promoting your WISP on my landing page.
Oh, good. Look,
Yeah.
I love
Uh,
it. I love it. Yeah, thank you.
but it's $1,000 for the year, and you get it for 1 year, and we'll also create workflows for you. So whatever it is in your office that you don't want to keep doing manually, we'll automate it for you. We'll also redo your website. We'll connect your clients in there. We'll help you import them. So, we'll make sure that you're ready to go for tax season. Okay, so before we go, are there any other questions, comments, things for Aaron, for me?
Yeah, there is some people are mentioning about the calendar thing. I think I have a bug in my calendar. So it's not sending I see them. I see them coming into my calendar, but it's like I'm getting a bounce back on the schedule email. So, if you did complete the form, I got it. I'm gonna send you a text or an email being like, so that it shows up on your calendar. I'm gonna resend it from my Outlook. I think that's gonna work. So that just to let everyone know. Apologize about that.
Um, okay, awesome. Thank you everybody for watching. This week we had Aaron on here. Rick, I don't know if you're still here, but we have Rick Alvarez. He's an enrolled agent, and he's going to be on here next week, and he's going to be talking about how you could do and help your clients do resolution without being an enrolled agent. Um, he has a whole system that he created. You let him know what's going on with your client, and he'll write you like step by step on what you need to do to make sure your client is taken care of in front of the IRS. And yeah, it's super detailed. He gives you every step, every form that you need to fill out. So, if you've been wanting to get a little bit into resolution, make sure you come by next week. And awesome. Yeah. So thanks everybody for coming. We'll send out the recording and the slides and everything else we spoke about. And thanks again.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Appreciate
Yeah, cool.
it.
Thank you, Aaron.